There are just over 7.5 billion people in the world, all different from each other. And while some live ordinary lives, others prefer to lead lives that are anything but normal. Voluntary or driven by some conviction or obligatory custom, the lifestyle of these people is quite bizarre and completely unusual. Today we will discover Amar Bharati, the man who has been holding his hand up for over 40 years, the Chrismans, who live like in the Victorian era, and many other people who have a strange life. Make yourself comfortable and prepare to be surprised because here are 10 unusual people. Here we go. Gabriel and Sarah Chrisman are a couple like no other. They live like in the 19th century. But really, this American couple has chosen to escape today's life with its technologies and to live like in the Victorian era. From what we can see, they seem to like this atmosphere since their old-fashioned way of life has been going on for more than 10 years. Everything, including their self-sewn wardrobe, accessories, and recipes, dates back to the Victorian era. The couple lives in Port Townsend, Washington, in a house that dates back to 1888. They use a cooler instead of the refrigerator, oil lamps, gas and kerosene heaters, and light bulbs like those invented by Thomas Edison. Also, they sleep on a mattress filled with feathers. Sarah always wears a corset, while Gabriel wears authentic glasses, all made during the 19th century. He rides around on retro bikes, his top hat on his head. And of course, as you can imagine, they don't have a washing machine or a microwave oven, let alone a smartphone. However, the couple is sometimes led to obstruct the rule. For example, Sarah, who is a writer, has to use the computer to write her books, and she doesn't hesitate to use social networks to share her books or her Victorian life. Do you think Gabriel and Sarah will ever live a normal life like other couples who are living in their own time? What do you think? Do you like to travel and adventure? Then you will be fascinated by this family that has led a nomadic life for many years. Shane, Julie, and their 7 children live on the roads. They travel on an old school bus, which they have fitted out and renovated. This American couple had only one dream, to have lots of children and to live their life as they wanted. After selling everything and paying off their debts, they were able to make their dream come true. They bought their bus and transformed it completely into a small mobile home, with a bedroom, a living room, and all the necessary facilities. However, as you can imagine, leading a nomadic life is not always easy. But for Shane, who himself lived and studied on a bus as a child, it's not complicated at all. To earn a little money, the musician sometimes works in bars or on the street, and sometimes gives concerts. Jessica is 21, yet she lives like a baby. Indeed, this American behaves exactly like a little girl who is only a few months old. For a few hours a day, she wears diapers, uses a pacifier and a bottle, and sleeps in a cot adapted to her large size. The girl had even expressed the need to have a babysitter who could take care of her for a few days a week. It's hard to imagine a young girl in swaddling clothes and a pacifier, but behind this behavior lies a much deeper reason. Indeed, Jessica suffered a profound trauma when she was only 2 years old. She, therefore, invented this particular game as a kind of therapy, to overcome her trauma and recover her lost innocence. While some have decided to live like babies, others have chosen to live like animals. This is the case of Kaz James, who lives like a dog. At 38 years old, this British man behaves exactly like a doggy. He barks, eats out of a bowl, and crunches dog biscuits. Also, he has fun licking faces and grabs people by the collar of their shirt. To better look like a dog, Kaz wears masks, leashes, and overalls for which he didn't hesitate to pay a few $1,000s. Kaz James says that he never felt like a human and that he identified more with a dog. So, most of the time, Kaz is a dog, but he becomes a human again when he has to go to work. It's human nature. Each of us has a color fetish, right? Some of us like red, others prefer black or white, while others love blue. Elizabeth Eaton Rosenthal loves green a little more than she should. Nicknamed the Green Lady, this septuagenarian sees life only in green. Her clothes, shoes, glasses, accessories, nail polish, and even her hair are green. Even her house is furnished and decorated in green. Elizabeth started wearing this color over 20 years ago. Since then, she hasn't been able to wear any other color. Her infatuation with this color stems from her love of nature and greenery that surrounded her when she lived in her native Nova Scotia before moving to New York City in 1964. Thanks to her unusual look, Elizabeth became very well known in her neighborhood. How can you remain indifferent in front of someone dressed in green from head to toe? And now, here's the question of the day. What TV series, created in 1964, tells the unusual story of a strange family's daily life? Option A. The Simpsons. Option B. The Addams Family. Option C. The Sopranos. Choose the option you think is right and we'll see if you answered correctly at the end of this video. Do you know the Amish? If you've never heard the name before, they are a community with their own values and customs and a way of life of their own. The Amish are an ancient Anabaptist community that lived in Switzerland and advocates voluntary baptism as adults. Forced to flee Europe from the 17th century, the Amish eventually reached the United States where they settled in various states, including Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Indiana. Faithful to the lifestyle that prevailed at the time their community was created, the Amish do not conform to the world around them. They live in rudimentary houses, travel in carriages or buggies, and are far from being dressed in the latest fashion. Their style of dress is limited to black trousers and white shirts for men, and dark dresses with aprons for women. The children, who dress like adults, walk around barefoot most of the time. A beard for married men and a simple bun for women is the simple look for these people. They live without electricity, far from technology, and have their own schools. They plow their land without tractors, use very little or no pesticides and fertilizers, and their soil is richer and more fertile. The Amish eat only home-cooked food and enjoy good health, although they are reluctant to get vaccinations and medical care. By remaining faithful to their way of life, the Amish claim to keep their faith and remain pure, dedicating their simple lives to God and their families. However, teenagers have the choice to be baptized if they wish or to leave the community forever. David Glasheen, or the Robinson Crusoe of modern times, has been living far from civilization for more than 20 years. In 1997, this British septuagenarian chose to settle on a desert island in Australia after going bankrupt in 1987. This former real estate tycoon is even an official resident of Restoration Island. Indeed, David signed a 43-year lease with the Australian state to be able to live legally on this 1.53-hectare island, located 2,410 kilometers off the coast of Brisbane. In exchange, the lonely inhabitant was to create hotel projects and develop the fishing sector. And so, Robinson Crusoe found himself living on this island with his dog. But his life is a little different from that of the famous character. David has some electricity from solar panels and a limited internet connection, which allows him to watch YouTube programs and follow the news. You're probably wondering what this lonely man eats. Well, David catches fish and grows fruits and vegetables. He also does not deprive himself of other foods such as rice or sweets that he buys once a year. Despite the company he sometimes misses, this man is not going to leave his island. On the other hand, he is regularly threatened with expulsion by the Australian authorities because of undeveloped tourist projects. We wonder if he will ever be able to leave peace and wildlife behind. Many of us love spaghetti, but some a little more, to the point of making it their own religion. Pastafarianism, or the religion of spaghetti, is a belief whose followers worship a deity imagined as a flying spaghetti monster. Invented in 2005 by an American student by the name of Bobby Henderson, Pastafarianism is a new religious current with somewhat bizarre customs. Pastafarians dress like pirates and wear sieves on their heads. They even try to take pictures of themselves with them for their passport photos. Moreover, they have their own Bible, and on Fridays, they can eat a good plate of spaghetti. If Pastafarianism is recognized as a religion in some parts of the world, such as New Zealand or some American states like Texas, this is not the case elsewhere. However, this does not discourage the followers of this movement from convincing the authorities in other countries. But will they succeed? How often do you think you should shower? Some will say you should wash every day, 3 times a week, sometimes less, but others will tell you never. Don't be surprised. Dave Whitlock knows this because he has never taken a shower in 12 years. That doesn't mean that Dave is a dirty man or that he doesn't care about his hygiene. To wash himself, this chemical engineer uses a spray made from live bacteria he created himself. According to him, this product prevents the good bacteria that protect the skin from disappearing. Would you like to try it and stop taking a shower? Before I tell you about Amar Bharati, let me first ask you a question: how long can you keep your hand up? If you think you can do it for a few minutes or even a few hours, well, you should know that Amar Bharati was able to raise his hand in the air for over 40 years. Wow. You're probably wondering why this Indian's been going to all this trouble since 1973, aren't you? Well, the reason is spiritual. This Hindu, who lived ordinarily a very long time ago, has become a sadhu, a saint. Then, one day, he decided to raise his hand to promote peace and to protect himself from fighting and anger. Of course, this gesture ended up costing him his arm, which had become atrophied over time. There were 10 people living unusually. What do you think of all this? If you had the choice to lead a totally different life, how would you live? Leave us your answer in the comments. And finally, the correct answer to the question of the day is option B. I hope many of you found the right answer.